Hi guys, so as Boris Johnson and his government plan to undo parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol, there has been growing disquiet in Northern Ireland but also within the Conservative Party. Now at the same time, Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, has said that he will instruct his party to vote against any attempts to unilaterally rewrite an international agreement, and it looks likely the House of Lords will also not dance to Boris Johnson's tune. Here the former Northern Ireland Secretary of State, Peter Hain, explained that there aren't proper negotiations taking place between the UK government and the EU.
Environmental problems, and the problem is at the moment that the DUP won't go back to power sharing in Stormont until it's being addressed, and that is hugely important to peace and stability, isn't it?
Yes, but the government's not negotiated properly now for over a year. They suspended the negotiations in the run-up to the Northern Ireland Assembly elections earlier this year in the knowledge that the DUP would not form a government, allowing Northern Ireland ministers to deal with vital issues like a collapsing health service in Northern Ireland, which is in a worse state than anywhere else in the United Kingdom. The government actually knew that that would happen and didn't actually continue with the negotiations with Brussels. I mean, this is preposterous.
It is, and the reason behind it is because Boris Johnson's government is not interested in actually moving forward. He's interested in keeping this as a tool, as a cudgel to use against the European Union, because it's easier to blame the European Union, to distract the public when things are going badly. So he doesn't want to take this cudgel away. He doesn't want to take this distractor away because it's extremely useful to him. This is not Boris Johnson caring about the people of Northern Ireland or the DUP. It's about maintaining a tool that he can use, that he can pull out at any time to distract the public.
And it just indicates that they have been indulging in high politics and political posturing rather than rolling up their sleeves, dealing with these issues of medicines coming from Great Britain into Northern Ireland, which is in the European single market under a deal agreed by Boris Johnson, whereas the United Kingdom is not. So there are issues of the frontier there across the Irish Sea. These are resolvable. There have been ways suggested of doing it. Our committee has taken evidence from a range of people, including the Democratic Unionist Party DUP leader Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, only last Wednesday. There are solutions to this problem, but it requires people to get in the negotiating room, trust each other, build that trust. And if I agree to something with you, then I've got to stick by it. And then you will be more willing to see my point of view. That's how life works. And yet, under Boris Johnson, that attitude to negotiation, that art of negotiation, which requires big gaps to be bridged by building trust, which has been the hallmark of British diplomacy for generations, has been abandoned. And no wonder the former EU ambassador, Sir Ivan Rogers, during the Conservative government, served Conservative administrations, has described it as dishonest. It isn't proper negotiation.
It isn't. How can you negotiate with somebody who says that they're going to break international law? How can you negotiate with somebody who, following a short period of time, decides, I'm not going to respect the agreement that I originally signed? How can you build trust? I've said this before. In order to allow free flow of goods can eventually be achieved if a certain level of trust can be built up. But how can you build up trust with somebody like Boris Johnson, with Brexiteers, who will say that the EU is the enemy, that the EU is attempting to annex part of Northern Ireland? How can you deal with people like that? How can you reach out to these people and build trust with them? And also, I think there is a fear, well, not a fear, but a feeling within the European Union that Boris Johnson is on borrowed time, and it's just a matter of months or maybe even weeks before he's gone. So what is the point in negotiating a settlement with him? What is the point of doing the heavy lifting, trying to resolve the problems of the protocol, when Boris Johnson will be out the door and he'd be likely replaced with somebody else? So all in all, you can't trust Boris Johnson, you can't trust Brexiteers. And in order to have a system in place that allows for greater movement or a greater frictionless trade or fewer checks, you need that trust. And I don't think that's coming for anytime soon. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.